Item number 4, Chief Executive Officer's Report. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to take the item as read. However, I shall point out a number of interesting or important issues. The first one is the saving with the Iron Delaney Park floodlighting contract, which we have mentioned previously, but the meeting was held with Sky to ask if we did need to upgrade our lighting, and it wasn't the case, so we don't need to upgrade our lighting to meet any new standards for Sky, so that's a project which we can remove. However, there will be a paper presented to Council at some point in the future, hopefully sort of by around Aprilish, where we'll bring to you some maintenance requirements that we do have for those floodlights, so that we can make sure that we've got that covered off. Secondly, under service delivery performance, I just wanted to re-highlight the fact that we are having some continued issues with our wastewater facilities, around the consenting of the wastewater facilities. We're seeking to work with the Regional Council with regards consent conditions and making sure that they are appropriate for the circumstances. And I'm sure Dennis will be able to answer any further questions if you have questions on that, either now or later on in the week. Of particular note, and again, I mentioned it at our end of year function, at the AC Baths Event Centre complex, where our building consents team are currently performing incredibly well in the face of a lot of development recently. So I just wanted to re-emphasise the fact that we've had outstanding results in that area, and we are sort of right up there amongst the best at the moment, and I think it's worth noting. Other than that, happy to take questions. I just note on 4/3 we had an issue with our fireworks. I think that's been widely reported now. I would normally have reported that at this meeting, but we've already seen that reported. So other than that, happy to take questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any questions of Mr. Williams? Thank you. Councillor Krasowski.
Thank you. Just one that comes to mind, and that's a matter of observation on our water usage. I noticed, particularly in the area where I live, that when we had the week of rain, there were a number of properties who had their sprinkler system going while it was raining quite heavily all day long. And I wonder whether somehow or other we can up our education system or our something or other to make sure that these people do not just use an automatic sprinkler system, but use it as and when required.
Yeah, very much so. We're hoping to heighten our education campaign over the next coming months, and certainly over the next 12 months before next summer. I'm personally hopeful that we can provide a lot more information directly through our website in terms of real-time updates on water usage, and possibly even linking that to our district meters, so that we can highlight different areas within Taupo that would be using more water than the average around the district. So there is a strategy that we're hoping to employ, because wasteful use of water is not really acceptable in this day and age.
Thank you.
Would it not be a good
Councillor
idea
Harvey?
to actually take note of the properties that are doing this and actually send them a friendly letter? Just say, look, we note that the sprinklers are going, they must be on some sort of automatic timing system. We suggest that you look at that. I'm sure they'd appreciate it.
That would certainly form part of an education campaign, I think.
A
Yeah.
direct letter would be not. I'm sure it wouldn't be taken badly.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey. Councillor Boddy.
I do have a number. The first one's on 4, starting page. Partway down under the council meeting of the 24th of November, it states authorise the construction and marketing of Botanicite subdivision 3, B and C, blah, blah. My understanding, because I think it was Councillor Krasowski that moved it, that we would do no more development until 9 sections in the original 12 were sold. Would that be correct? That's not indicated in the minutes, in the CEO's report.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what was in confidence and what wasn't, so I'll just use my words carefully, but yeah, that what's there is true, but there certainly is a number of sections required before anything will progress.
So that the state of the 9 have to be sold before we do anything. How can that be in confidence? I know it was a confidential issue at the meeting, but it just that if I read that as Joe Blogg citizen, I would not understand exactly what council was doing.
yeah, I'm just not really sure what I can add. So obviously what's there is true, and obviously you've pointed out there's a number of sections that are required to be sold, and that's also correct.
Sorry, whereabouts is it again, Mr. Body?
Partway down on page 4, the start of that agenda item. Under committee and council decisions,
okay.
just above council of 8th of December, that sentence there.
So 3B and 3C. Okay. Yeah, so it's not, we're not actually underway with those yet, are we?
Yeah, but it's not an untruthful fact. I mean, that's part of what the approval was. So yeah, like Will says, we're not sure
Subject
what's.
to, yeah.
We just need to check back to the confidential item.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Councillor Body, for raising that.
I do have a few more.
Yep, carry on.
In regards to 4/24, we talk about the hearing at Kinloch Reserve. We have received correspondence from one of the residents out there in regard to possible legal action. Does that have to be noted, or is that something we don't include?
That's included within the main body of my report. I think on the second page of my report.
Yep. Okay, well, I think the report header, 2931. On 4/29, in regards of the Centennial Water Scheme extension, I notice there's a figure under the expenditure of $270. What is that for? It just appeared this month. The other figures are correct.
Dennis, what have you been spending $270 on?
The $270 is staff capitalisation, Tom.
So some hours.
Staff time.
Staff time.
So the 166 that it has as the forecasted cost doesn't include the 270.
It should do.
Okay, it hasn't, so that will be noted in the next.
It will be corrected.
In regards, Mr. Chairman, to the Lake Terrace pathway, originally we were told that there would be a couple of sections would be uplifted and replaced. The wording is remedial work to address all defects. Can we have a further explanation as to that? Has anything been lifted? On the Lake Terrace pathway, our document says that remedial work will be done to address some issues. My understanding from prior to Christmas that 2 sections would be replaced. Have they been replaced? Not yet. Not yet, they will be. Thank you. Mr. Chairman. I've just got a question on 4/35 in regards to the Motropa WWTP optimisation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a previous document said the budget was 1.488 million. It's now shown as 1.66. Is there a reason for that? I'm quite prepared to accept I may be wrong.
We can find out, Councillor, and email you.
I will find out and get back to you, Councillor. I believe you might be right, but I will check that.
4/36, and I raised this at our last meeting or the meeting before in regards to Pope Road widening. Anticipated completion date, it's still saying April 15. Does it not mean April 16?
Correct.
Chairman, in regards of 4/37, in regards to the Tahara Road seal extension, the November agenda stated that the budget was 470,000. It's now saying it's 400,000. Is that because the job's been completed? What's the reason for those that change?
I don't have an answer why the budget has changed, but the construction has been completed at that cost.
Can we have that, what the original budget was? Because this shows that if that's not correct, then the document's not correct. Thank you. That's all at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Body. Any other questions of Mr Williams? Councillor Cousins?
Chair, just a couple of comments if I can make before the questions been asked. First one was on page 4/8, just in regards to the Turangi Reserve Management Plan. November the 14th is when we held the workshop, and we're still waiting for some discussions and resolutions with Turangi-Tukua. Without being too blunt, what do I have to do to get things moving along here? Because it's been ridiculous. We've been pretty much tied, you know.
Sorry, I was talking about this morning when we were doing the annual plan workshop, and Turangi-Tukua have done 2 names. There was one more name to come from the Settlement Trust. I think it's the Settlement Trust, and they've actually finished 3 names. So now we just need clarification from from Turangi-Tukua as to which names they're actually putting forward. So they've been in touch with the Secretary of Turangi-Tukua, and a response should be coming soon.
Just through the chair, do you think we should put a deadline on it so that we don't need things to happen? Because we just that goalpost being in place, we just seem to wander.
So through Mr Chairman, I think it's probably the sort of thing that that if we don't hear back from very quickly, given the letter that has gone to the Secretary, then that's something that we would put back to the board at that stage to get them to try and move it on, because you're right, it's been taking far too long. But yeah, I think the board would be the right place to try and use
I agree.
those networks to better push it. Yeah.
I thought maybe Top Tail had some insight. Yeah, cool.
No more.
I just say I did go to the Hearing MRI committee meeting before Christmas, and at the end of November, beginning of November, and that's when the urgency was put out there with Turangi-Tukua, and they have responded quite quickly since then. So.
Great, thank you. 4/13, just in regards to 99% of known dogs are registered each year, or known to be registered. I just want to say well done to Marty and Mike and the rest of the compliance team for pass on my thanks to them for getting that under control. They do a great job, I have to say. I see it firsthand, so I just wanted to compliment them on that. 4/16 under the 4/16, sorry, 4/15. This regards to, or is it? No, that's not, sorry. It's water. 4/16. We don't acknowledge the issues with the arsenic and Motuapa water supply, and we know it's there. There's been some more correspondence and dialogue at Motuapa with the Ratepayers Association about this. They've had 3 tests done, and apparently they've failed every single one. Is there anything we need to do from a risk point of view in regards to this?
With regards to Motuapa water supply, the risk management plan notes the arsenic content, doesn't it?
That's correct. The water safety plan for Motuapa acknowledges the level of arsenic and identifies what needs to be done, and that's been communicated to the group. I sent through a lot of information to them prior to the meeting over the Christmas and New Year period. They were going to get back to me if they had any issues with that information, and I haven't heard anything post that meeting.
They had an AGM and they've elected a whole new committee, but they were still grumbling about it this year in a nice way. That's fine. Park that up for now, so it's noted. Just under economic development, 4/25, number of bed nights. Just noticed, actually it was length of stay, sorry, so 4/26. Any idea why there's no New Zealand figures there for average length of stay annual growth? We're at 3.9%, but there's no New Zealand average, but all the figures above it refer to a New Zealand average. Any idea what that would be?
Short answer is I don't know. I'll find out.
Yep, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And finally, just to stand up for Turangi here, just over the page, you've got economic development highlights. You've got major events, King of the Ring, Ironman, Reggae by the River, and the Cycle Challenge. How many people were at King of the Ring? Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
200.
1,600.
1,500 tickets sold, probably about 2,000 sort of, by the time you take in volunteers and everything. Yeah.
Can we just include the Turangi's 50-year celebration, because there was 3.5 people there, so we'd like to think that was
3,500.
Just saying.
Good point. Excellent too, isn't it? Okay, you'll put that in, Shani? Very good. Councillor Truman.
Just on page 4/6, just in regards to the upgrade of Mangakino Town Centre, just for the councillors to be aware that we are still, the group's still discussing it, but it looks as if we're going to have to do it in stages, like break the project down again in stages to be able to afford it, while some funding applications are being put out. So I just wanted to...
What centre was that, sorry?
That's for the town centre.
Town centre,
so it's
okay,
Playground,
cool.
So it's playground and seating and shades. Yep, in the town
Okay.
centre.
Thank you. Very good. All right.
Finally, Mr Chairman, I
Councillor Boddy.
indicated to my fellow councillors and yourself I'll be raising the issue of the town centre do-up in regards to the tiles and some of the workmanship. I know Andrew's here and Andrew has been to the Access meeting and explained a few things, but my issue is, and I'd like to know, the council sign off the completion before the workers pick up their tools and left. It's all very well to say it will come back and correct it. I was visited by a landscaper that's been in town here well over 30 years who said most of the job he believed was nearly second rate. I know two councillors and yourself have been down to that one particular corner. So I'd just be interested in how it's going to be handled, because I believe there's a lot of remedial work still to be done.
Okay, come through, and sorry, come up. So the question is, what's the process under the contract as to completion and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, the contractor completes the work, does his own QA, to tell them that he believes that the project is finished to an acceptable standard. We do an inspection ourselves. If we have any defects that we consider to be needing work, we will issue that to the contractor, and he will make it good to our satisfaction. At the moment on Tamamutu Street, there's remedial work being carried out literally right now. So we've identified some issues with the paving, and we've told the contractor some time ago about them, and they remain current now. So that process is where we are, irrespective of whether it's work in the town centre or a building or whatever. The process is that the contractor will tell us that it's practically complete, and we will inspect it. Defects list is not unusual, and then he will make good to our satisfaction. We still have retention money held back on that project. That's a pretty standard process.
So the current job in Tamamutu Street, that has not been finished yet?
No.
No. So you have not signed that off yet?
No, we haven't.
No. Okay. So remedial work is currently underway.
I'm hoping that by the end of this week, that remedial work will be finished, and we'll carry out a re-inspection.
So if Councillor Boddy has some concerns, he can come and see you as to what those are. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Thank you, Andrew, for that explanation. So effectively, the remedial work will be the uplifting of the tiles that aren't level. For instance, I've got a number of photographs, and one is on the crossing that goes from Dick Smith's across the road, where the lip's about that much. A number of them you scrape your foot along the pavement. Now, I'm coming from a perspective of sitting on that access committee, and we're dealing with people that are blind, that use canes, etc., etc., etc. If we're doing that street corner up, I know the problems in Tamamutu, I know the problems in Whakaaro. To me, it doesn't seem to be a job that you could take much pride off, because of the fact we now have to go back and do remedial work. So I'll wait for that remedial work to do, and if I still have a problem with it, I'll come back.
Yeah, by all means.
Mr Williams?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, what's the retention period? What's the maintenance period? Is it a 12-month or a...
We have, on that project, we have 12 months.
Yeah.
And similarly, we have 12 months on the Great Lake Railway.
Right.
So if anything happens within that period, we have money held back on both of those for remedial work to be done.
And Mr Chairman, that would be a percentage. What's that percentage?
It varies. It's a sliding scale. It's 10% up to 200,000. It's 5% on the remaining, on the next 100,000. So really that covers it with those two projects. So in general, it's 10%. So on, for example, on the Great Lake Railway, it's just under 20,000. A little bit more on this one. Normally, a practical completion 50% of retentions would be paid out, and the remaining 50% would only be paid out at the end of the maintenance period, when we would carry out the inspection. If anything's gone up or down since then, we will call the contractor back, and he would make that good. We've just done that now with the last stage of Turangi, which became, the end of the maintenance period was December last year, and we've just inspected that. A couple of things have been done, and we're just about to pay the invoice for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Cousins?
Thank you. Just on that, thank you, Andrew. That's the plinths, is it, for those 4 fish?
That's part of it, yes, we're having that done now. I'm just waiting for the contractor to come back to me on that, but I'm expecting that to be done this month.
They'll repair that.
Yes. Made good, put back up,
Okay.
and set.
A few frustrated people, I think, because they were meant to be up before Christmas, but
I'm one of them.
thank you.
Okay, thanks Andrew, and thank you Councillor Boddy for raising that. Well, just before you go, just on the positive side, I've been inundated with people congratulating on us on the actual upgrade and the work. People just bailed me up, supermarket, wherever, saying how great it looks and how good it is. So just please pass on to your team that the aesthetics and all that is outstanding, and especially this with the latest event over the weekend, just the people wandering through there you could just see the enjoyment they were having. So well done.
Flattering email from the manager of the ANZ Bank on that corner.
Right.
What we've done and how it's changed the environment around the entrance to the bank.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Any other questions of Mr. Williams? That being the case, there's a recommended resolution there on 4/3. It's moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mark. Those against, carried.